NFL Now is all over your NFL scouting combine, and so is Elliot Harrison. Will Salva with you as we go through division by division and every team's draft needs. Our focus on the AFC North, and let's start with the Bengals.
Yeah.
What do you think is their greatest need?
Well, sometimes when you talk about draft needs, you have to talk about who's a free agent. For the Bengals right now, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, their future with the organization, nobody really knows. We could say this, Mohamed Sanu doesn't look like he has a future with the organization. There's him running a reverse. Unfortunately, the Bengals need guys catching touchdown passes. A.J. Green, the only guy on the roster with a touchdown reception, that courtesy of Mark Dolgarian, does a great job for us in research. You know, for me, the Bengals are probably the most talented team up and down in the league. I really think they probably are number one, or at least they have been. Again, they do have some free agents. I'd like to see them get a wide receiver to team with A.J. Green.
What about the Steelers?
Pittsburgh needs somebody to stop A.J. Green. Their problem has been the secondary. When Michael Crabtree's making you look like that and Doug Baldwin's making you look like that, not that those aren't good players, but the Steelers managed to make the routine look spectacular last year all the time, and I just used a terrible sports cliche. My apologies,
But that's okay, though. Go with it.
I'm going to go with it. But the Steelers, they allowed 271.9 passing yards per game. That was 30th in the NFL. Yes, I am reading this. I didn't memorize it. And 64% completion percentage. I'm just going based on the eyeball test. I probably watched 15 Steelers games last year, and their secondary was a problem. They can get a corner or a safety. I don't think it matters. To me, it's BPA, best player available.
Right.
I don't believe in drafting for need. I should say that as we're doing these segments about the AFC, Will. But to me, when you have a glaring need, at some point, when you're on the fence about, okay, this guy's just a little bit better than this guy, but this feels a major need for us, that's when you go for the need. And the Steelers have a serious need in the secondary. I think they need to draft 2 players there.
How about the Ravens?
The Ravens, to me, are a little bit different. Their secondary had its problems. There's no question about that. In fact, you could argue the Ravens secondary played worse than Pittsburgh's. However, the Ravens,
pass rush.
Yeah, the pass rush is always in bed with the secondary. Married, Will. Married.
I get you.
But,
I understand what you're
Terrell Suggs hurt last year. No Ravens pass rusher had 10 sacks last season. Now, you see the graphic there, 37 sacks in 2015. 37 sacks is not an abysmal figure.
No, it's not.
It is viable. The thing is, though, is that for the Ravens, they have always been better at that. And there were times in games where that pass rush was absent. Look, sacks are a team metric. And they're a good overall, macro view. But when you get in the micro view and you watch some of the Ravens games, there were times where that pass rush was dormant. It was dormant. So that's why I'd like to see them hit that.
You could say that the QB position has been dormant for the Browns. Segue.
Yeah, I was about to give you a compliment on that segue. It was almost as brutal as my sports cliche. Yeah, the Browns, 24 starting quarterbacks since 1999. Again, another Mark Dolgarian special there. For me, with Cleveland's quarterbacks, obviously the organization misfired on Johnny Manziel. But it's getting a little difficult here to say, well, they misfired on Whedon and they misfired on Manziel and the other draft picks that haven't panned out. Justin Gilbert and Mingo and on and on and on and on. Trent Richardson. This is different regimes. I mean, the Browns have had so much change at the top. So once you have stability at the top and stability with your coaching staff, I think it makes it easier for a quarterback to succeed.
Maybe Hugh Jackson is the guy to do it to help a young quarterback.
You read my mind, man, because I know this isn't a segment on, what are the best coaching hires, but Hugh Jackson, to me, was the best coaching hire. I love that Cleveland got him. I don't know that he turns around right away, but you know what I'd love to see them do? You're coaching at least 5 years here, guaranteed, no matter what. I know that's tough to do.
Yeah, that's a lot to ask because right now it's a bottom line business.
A little tidbit before we go here.
Sure.
And again, Browns, they need a quarterback. But the Cowboys had 4 straight losing seasons. They were in the middle of a 5th straight losing season, and the Cowboys owner gave Tom Landry a 10-year contract just to shut everybody up, and look what happened. I think Hugh Jackson's the right fit. He needs a quarterback, and the Browns need a running game. He'll fix the running game. Quarterback is the issue. Can they get one in the draft?
It always comes back to the Cowboys for Elliot.
It just comes back to NFL history.
Context.
Look, I'm not at the combine.
Harrison
I'm not watching guys in their shorts. I'm using my football brain.
All the time. And that's why we love him. And that's why you love NFL.com's coverage of the draft, NFL.com/mock draft. Well done.
I'm rooting for the Browns.